Hi guys, it's Jodie and welcome to a new video. So today I'm going to be giving you guys some recommendations for witchy books. However, these are all witchy books that I want to read, not books that I have already read. So these are kind of like indirect recommendations where you guys can see what I'm interested in reading in, and maybe you guys will be as well. These are just some of the witchy fictitious books from my shelves that I just really want to read and haven't gotten around to reading yet. And I'm really excited. So yes, if you'd like to see all of the witchy books that I am interested in potentially reading this spooky season, then please keep watching this video. So the first book is one that a lot of people seem to know about that I didn't, and I randomly bought this in a charity shop like last year or the year before, having no idea what it was. And I remember getting a bunch of comments like, oh my god, like you don't know what this is, it's a film and all this, and I've still not seen the film to this day, but I do plan to watch it very soon, maybe before I read the book or maybe after, I've not decided yet. But the book I'm talking about is Practical Magic by Alice Hoffman. So yeah, I don't know a lot about this, I just know that it follows two sisters, I think. It says for more than 200 years, the Owens women have been blamed for everything that has gone wrong in their Massachusetts town. Gillian and Sally have endured that fate as well. As children, the sisters were forever outsiders, taunted, talked about, pointed at. Their elderly aunts almost seemed to encourage the whispers of witchery, with their musty house and their exotic concoctions and their crowd of black cats. All Gillian and Sally wanted was to escape. One will do so by marrying, the other by running away, but the bonds they share will bring them back almost as if by magic. I think this sounds really good, and I really want to read it now and watch the movie, and I love this cover as well. So yes, I may pick this one up spooky season, we'll see. Then next we have A Cunning Women by Elizabeth Lee. So I was sent this a while ago and unfortunately just never got round to reading it. On the back it says, when it is no longer safe to be a witch, they call themselves cunning. Unbelievably powerful tale of wild women, witches and young love that grips you and steals you into the dark, brooding world where the special are unsafe. And it says, readers of the Essex Serpent and the Mercies will fall under the spell of cunning. So this is set in the 1600s in Lancashire, and Lancashire isn't actually too far from me, so that's one of the main reasons I really want to read this. I think it'll be so interesting to read something that's in the north of England. Like, I always find that really fun, and I really want to know more about the Lancashire witches, because there was a huge witch trial there in the 1600s with the Pendle witches as well, and I really want to know more about that generally. So I think the author has taken inspiration from that event in history, which I just think is another like super interesting thing. Away from the village lies a small hamlet, abandoned since the plague, where only one family dwells amongst its ruins. Young Sarah Howarth, her mother, her brother and her little sister Annie are a family of outcasts by day and the recipients of visitors by night. They are cunning folk, the villagers will always need them, quick with a healing balm or more should the need arise. They keep secrets too, because no one will believe them anyway. When Sarah spies a young man taming a wild horse, she risks being caught to watch him calm the animal. And when Daniel sees Sarah, he does not see just a strange dirty thing. He sees her for who she really is, a strong creature about to come into her own. But can something as fragile as love blossom between these two in such a place as this? When a new magistrate arrives to investigate the strange ends that keep before the villagers, he has his eye on one family alone and a torch in his hand. So yes, this sounds so good. Really interested to read this one, so hopefully I can pick this one up in October. But I think this just sounds really good because this is more of like a historical novel as well, a bit of romance in there, a bit of witchery, and I just think it will make a really interesting read. So this next one I don't know too much about, but it seems to have an almost dystopian vibe to it, and that is The Coven by Lizzie Fry. So in this one here it says on the back, let me repeat myself so we can be very clear, women are not the enemy, we must protect them from themselves just as much as we must protect ourselves. Imagine a world in which witchcraft is real, and imagine the US president is a populist demagogue who decides that all witches must be imprisoned for their own safety as well as the safety of those around them, creating a world in which to be female is one step away from being criminal. Handmaid's Tale? Handmaid's Tale? I haven't read it, I can't remember, but it's giving me that kind of vibe, bit dystopian. And also to me that is basically just sums up like what it was to be a woman a few hundred years ago, when, you know, if you stepped out of line or you didn't agree with the men or you did something the men weren't happy about, you know, they could call you a witch and that was that, you were dead. And yeah, it's kind of reminded me of that, And then it says, witches around the world are all rounded up. One young woman discovers a power she did not know she had. It's a dangerous force and it puts her at the top of the list of the global witch hunt. But she and the women around her won't give up easily. Not while all of women's power is under threat. The Coven is a dazzling global thriller. It pays homage to the power and potential of women everywhere. So this is definitely a feminist story, and it just sounds so interesting and so unique, and I've never read a book, I don't think, like this before, and it is very reminiscent of Handmaid's Tale or whatever it's called, and kind of like dystopian kind of novel as well. So yeah, it seems like a really kind of unique witchy story, so I would be very interested to read that because it sounds like a blend of a lot of different genres. Then next we have The Furies by Katie Lowe, and this one I really want to read. This sounds so good. It's got witchcraft in it, it's got murder, a bit of like a mystery element to it, and I just think it sounds like the perfect book to read in October. It's set in 1998 and I think it follows 4 girls, I think maybe. Basically, a 16-year-old girl found dead at a school and she's dressed all in white, she's posed on a swing and no one knows what happened to her, who done it, that kind of thing. Then it says that 4 girls actually know what happened and who did it. It says they've kept their silence until now. And then it says it's a spellbinding debut that examines the dark heart, friendship, obsession and revenge, a compulsive and unsettling read dripping in atmosphere and suspense. So yeah, it sounds really, really interesting. And this is what drew me to this book when I found it the first time in the bookstore. So yeah, I really would like to read this because I've been meaning to read it since I bought it, and I have heard really good things about this book, so I really do want to get to it. And this definitely seems like it has dark academia vibes. It's popped up on a few dark academia lists when I've been looking, so I would really, really love to read this one. Yeah, I'm excited for this one. Next we have A Lesson in Vengeance by Victoria Lee. Now I don't know if this is straight up witchcraft in this book. I know this is like I think this is fantasy, and I think it's also sapphic. I honestly can't remember, so I'll read the synopsis out. So it says, Felicity Morrow is back at the Dalloway School. Perched in the Catskill Mountains, the centuries-old ivy-covered campus was home until the tragic death of her girlfriend. I love the fact that this is set on a campus and it sounds really gothic. This is supposed to be a really dark academia style book as well, which is another reason I really want to read it soon. Now after a year away, she's returned to finish high school. She even has her old room in Godwin House, the executive dormitory rumoured to be haunted by the spirits of 5 Dalloway students. Girls, some say, were witches. The Dalloway 5 all died mysteriously, one after another, right on the Godwin grounds. Witchcraft is woven into Dalloway's past. The school doesn't talk about it, but the students do. In secret rooms and shadowy corners, the girls convene, and before her girlfriend died, Felicity was drawn to the dark. She's determined to leave that behind now, but it's hard when Dalloway's occult history is everywhere, and when the new girl won't let her forget. It's Alice Haley's first year at Dalloway. She has already amassed a loyal following. A prodigy novelist at 17, Alice is a so-called method writer. She's eccentric and brilliant, and Felicity can't shake the pull she feels to her. So when Alice asks Felicity to help her research the Dalloway 5 for her second book, Felicity can't say no. Given her history with the arcane, Felicity is the perfect resource, and when history begins to repeat itself, Felicity will have to face the darkness in Dalloway and in herself. I think this sounds so good. Dark academia vibes, spooky vibes, witchcraft, all of it. I can't wait to read this. I've heard so many good things about this book, and the cover, look at this, absolutely stunning. So yeah, I really want to read this, and I'm interested to see like it being like witchcraft is like the history and a murder mystery linked to witchcraft. Like, I think it's going to be really, really fun to read. So next up we have The Wicked Deep by Shea Earnshaw, and I really want to read this one because I read Winterwood by Shea Earnshaw last year and I absolutely adored it and her writing style, and everyone has said this is even better. And this actually follows, I think, 3 sisters, potentially. Is it 3? Yeah, this follows 3 sisters, and in this it says 2 centuries ago 3 sisters were sentenced to death for witchery, and each summer, apparently for a brief time, the sisters return to this town and they steal the bodies of 3 troubled girls so that they may seek their revenge, luring boys into Sparrows Harbour and pulling them under. And it says, like many local, 17-year-old Penny Talbot has accepted the fate of the town. This year, on the eve of the sisters' return, a boy named Beau Carter arrives, unaware of the danger he has just stumbled into. Mistrust and lies spread quickly through the salty, rain-soaked streets. The townspeople will turn against one another. Penny and Beau will suspect the other of hiding secrets, and death will come swiftly to those who cannot resist the call of the sisters. But only Penny sees what others cannot, and she will be forced to choose save Beau or save herself. So I absolutely love the sound of this one, and I desperately want to read this, especially because I loved Shea Enshaw's writing in her other book that I read, so I feel like this one will be amazing to read. So next we have The Year of the Witching, and this is by Alexis Henderson, and I recently bought this and I'm very excited to read this. And this follows someone who like tries the best to like be in line with the church and do everything the church says, and she lives in a place called Bethel, and it says that was the first place that the prophet pursued and killed 4 powerful witches and apparently cleansed the land. And then it says a chance encounter led her into the dark wood that surrounds Bethel. It is a forbidden place haunted by the spirits of the witches who bestow an extraordinary gift on Emmanuel, the diary of her dead mother. So that already just intrigues me like massively. Obviously there is a bit of a mystery there, like who was her mother, like what's in this diary, was she a witch, like all of that. Fascinated by and fearful of the secrets the diary reveals, Emmanuel begins to understand the truth about her own bringing, the prophets and their history. For the real threat to Bethel is its own darkness. It must change, and that change will begin with her. Yes. Just sounds amazing. I've heard really good things about it and I really want to read it, and I love this cover as well, like it's so spooky. So next we have The Bone Witch by Run Trepecco, and this is one I've had on my shelf for absolute years, like a long time, and I still haven't read it. And on the back it says, let me be clear, I never intended to raise my brother from his grave, though he may claim otherwise. If there's anything I've learned from him in the years since, it's that the dead hide truths as well as the living. So the main character in this is a bone witch, and that means like she can do like necromancy. And because of that she is feared and ostracized by her entire kingdom, like people are literally terrified of it. And apparently this type of magic can reach beyond the boundaries of just the living, and it's a very powerful magic and obviously very dark. As a result of this, she's forced to leave her homeland and train under like a more like senior and superior bone witch. That's where she's learning to try to control her magic and become an Asher. It says that there's like a war brewing between like the 8 kingdoms, so she's going to use her magic to like try and save herself and her people and that sort of thing. And yeah, it just sounds like a really cool witchy fantasy story, and I've heard really good things about this series. I love this cover as well. This cover is absolutely beautiful. Like this is one of the prettiest covers I've ever seen in YA, and yeah, this is part of a series as well, so if I enjoy this one then I'll obviously pick the other books up. I really do hope I can get to this soon because I've been trying to read this for years, and for whatever reason it just sits on my shelf unread, so I really do want to read this one. Okay, so next we have The Witchling's Girl by Helena Cogan, and this is one that I got at the start of this year. I pre-ordered this and I just haven't gotten around to reading it, and this one sounds really cool as well. Basically we have this like random house and it's called the House of the Dead or something. In this lives the Witchling. So a Witchling is a healer, midwife and conduit between the world of the living and the world below. A Witchling must give up her family and friends and spend her life alone, tending to the sick and carrying the dead down dark tunnels to the underworld. Hallie was born with the gift of death magic, and at the age of 7 her mother abandoned her to the Witchling to be raised as her successor. But as Hallie grows older and learns her craft, as invading armies pass through her town, people are born and die on her floor, and loyalties shift and dissolve around her. She finds it harder and harder to keep her vows and be the perfect impassive healer. But if she can't, it will be her downfall, and that of everyone she's not supposed to love. So yeah, this sounds so unique, and it's also kind of reminding me of the, is it the Crooked Tree it's called or something? Twisted Tree. I think it's called the Twisted Tree, which is like a Norse mythology inspired tale, and there's like this tree. This girl has to like give up everything and like do something with this tree. I can't remember, but it's kind of reminding me of that, and this sounds like it has a bit of romance in it. Love this cover again, and this just sounds so good, and I'm so intrigued by the whole thing and what the romance might be in here. So yeah, I really do want to get to this soon, and I just think this sounds like such a good like unique witchy book. So next we have A Threadneedle by Carrie Thomas, and the main reason I really want to read this is because it reminded me of A Discovery of Witches when I first read the synopsis for it, because the main character in this actually lost her parents when she was younger, and she has her aunts bring her up like Diana Bishop does in Discovery of Witches. She is basically counting down the days until her magic gets bound, meaning like that she can't obviously ever use it anymore. And then she meets these two characters called Effie and Attis, and they kind of like open her eyes to like a whole new side of magic and London that she never knew existed. And as she like becomes more immersed in this world, she starts to think if maybe her aunt is wrong and she shouldn't have her magic bound. She's contemplating like, is her magic a gift or a curse? And it says on the back, magic and love, love and magic, they destroy everything in the end. So yeah, this just sounds really, really good. It really did remind me of A Discovery of Witches, and I love A Discovery of Witches. So it is a fantasy. I don't know if it's going to be part of a series, potentially. But yeah, I would really, really love to pick this up soon. And again, another gorgeous cover. All of these witchy books are just so stunning. But yes, those are all of the witchy books that I really want to get to soon. I hope maybe this gave you some ideas of books you can read. Maybe you all want to pick one of these up, or if you have already read any of these, let me know in the comments what your thoughts are, if you like them or not, or if there's any similar books you would recommend, because I'd love to hear some more witchy recommendations. I'm always open to more witchy books in my life. I will have all of these books linked in the description box down below, along with the links to all of my social medias, and as well as my Patreon, where you can find extra content from me, such as reading vlogs. We do a monthly buddy read, we have a Discord, I upload behind the scenes stuff and photos, and early access to a lot of my videos as well. So that will be linked in the description box, and I would absolutely love to have you join me there. But yes, if you made it to the end of this video, please do leave a witchy emoji in the comments, give it a big thumbs up, and if you would like to subscribe, then please feel free to do so. But yes, I hope you're all safe and well. I hope you're reading lots of good books, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!